Hi, Peter Charles here, Foxtail Hair, fly fishing. And today I want to talk about using hair for our wings on our flies. If you've followed any of my fly tying series, you know I love hair wings. I tie a lot of hair wings. And I've been using them for years and years and years and caught tons of fish on hair wing flies. So it's almost like a specialty if you want to think of those terms. And I use a lot of different materials for my hair wings and for different reasons and with different results. So I thought I'd get into describing some of the things I use and why I use them. So this fly here is sort of a classic fly. It's a Washugal olive from the west coast. And it uses calftail. And calftail is a great material. It's fairly soft, it's fairly flexible, it's dense, so it sinks. And it's relatively short. I mean, the hairs are not long on it, so you're not looking at tying a large fly with calftail, but it's especially good for throats and tails on large flies. So on this particular fly, I have used it both for the tail, the throat, and since the wing is not long, I was able to use it for the wing as well. So it comes in a variety of colors. It's naturally white with the end here is, this end I should say, is black. But as you see, this one's olive. Many, many different color choices. So it's great when you're looking for, just the right color for a wing. So, calftail. My second favorite is bucktail, which is the tail of a deer. And as you can see, it's brown on this side, and this side is white, and it can be dyed any color you like. Lovely, soft, long hairs. The saltwater versions are very long. The hairs on them are very long for doing large flies. And you can see in here that there's a tip. Well, this tip is kind of picked over. I've used it a lot. But you have tip hair, and you have this hair near the base of the tail. This hair is hollow. This hair is solid. So you have to be careful when you're tying flies with a bucktail that you're picking the hair from the right end, depending on what you're doing. If you want a spiky appearance to your fly, use this hollow stuff, especially if you want a fly that is more buoyant, sinks at a slower rate. This will help reduce the sink rate. If you want your fly to get down and you don't want that spiky appearance, then definitely use the material from the tip. Let's take a look at a fly that I have tied with bucktail. This is my baby perch pattern. It also does a good job as a baby brook trout pattern as well. It works both ways. And it's done with green bucktail and some yellow bucktail underneath. Very, very simple, very effective. You notice it's quite sparse, and it works very, very well. So bucktail is a great wing material, and here's a saltwater clouser. The hairs on this are fairly long. A lot of variety what you can do with bucktail. It's one of my favorite materials, and I use it on a lot of flies. Now, if you have seen my brown trout weimer pattern, you've seen me use this. This is Icelandic sheep. There's also another one called mega hair, which is goat hair. Very fine, beautifully fine hair. It's very, very silky. It goes on beautifully. You have to be careful when you buy this stuff, though. Sometimes you get hair that's very wavy, and that's difficult to use. You want the stuff that's pretty straight. It has a lovely taper to it. So if you're looking for a very, very fine hair that's going to do the job, it's great. The other choice for fine hair is gray fox. And this is dyed black. You can dye it all sorts of different colors. Again, very, very fine. It's not terribly long. This would not be useful for a big fly. The Icelandic sheep is much, much longer hair. But still, for small to medium-sized flies, it's a great choice. Now, if we're into monster flies, saltwater, pike, muskie, look at that. That's yak hair. It's heavy, it's dense, it's strong. This is built like bull. You can survive multiple hits from muskies and pikes with a fly with yak hair, and that's 12 foot long. That Hank. I mean, you can make a monster fly with yak hair. Interesting thing is it is so dense that if you put too much on the top of a hook, your fly will roll over. So, you think it's going to ride this way. No, it goes this way. because this is so heavy and so dense. So if you're going to put a lot on a hook, you have to put some under the hook and some on top, not all on top. But it's great stuff to use. And what's amazing, when you get a pike on a yak hair fly and you pull it up, the yak hair is this mass of balled up hair. And you just, with your finger, comb it out, goes up perfectly dead straight, looks like it's brand new, never been touched by a fish. So it's wonderful stuff to use for toothy critters. Anything that has a lot of teeth, if you're looking at bluefish, barracuda, muskie, pike, anything that's got teeth, use yak hair. It's great. And it's got a lovely translucence to it as well. Now on to my favorite bass material. Okay, this is rabbit hair. And rabbit fur, I should say. And they come in strips, as you can see, a nice long strip. Be careful when you buy this stuff. You buy what's called zonker strips. Don't buy crosscut. Crosscut is made for collars. So you can make a collar with rabbit hair too if you wanted to. But that's what you use the crosscut for. And you will see the hairs come off at a slope. Whereas with the zonker strip, the hair is pointing one way. So it all lines up going backwards. When we tie it on our flies, with crosscut it goes sideways because it's meant to be used as a collar. So as long as you're buying the strips, the zonker type strips, you're good to go with rabbit. Another material I use a lot of is foxtail. This is red foxtail. Again, it's not a long hair, but it's very supple, very, very soft, very useful. I've tied a lot of flies, caught a lot of fish on foxtail. I've got, this is my good one. You should see the one that I've used. It's got a little bit at the end and a little bit at the ad end, and there's nothing in the middle. I've used so much of it. And as you can see, it's brown on this side and more orangey red on this side. So, you can pick your colors depending on what you want to do just by picking from one side or the other. It's great, great hair. When we get to squirrels, this is red squirrel. And the hairs are reasonably long. Lovely brown color. I mean, it can do for all sorts of different small bait fish that tend to be on the brown side. And then you get into dyed gray squirrel. This stuff also, not terribly long, but lovely soft fur. And you can see this one's starting to get picked over. And because the tips of the hairs are white, it'll take the dye beautifully. And so you can get this sort of dark and then this nice little hot tip on the end, which is really, really good. I find that when they dye them all black, they can get very slippery, so it can be a bit of a challenge to tie in, but I've got a video on how to tie that in. Now, the one advantage of natural materials is that they usually have a taper to them. They have a natural taper, so they're thick at the base and thin at the tip. When we get into artificial ones, like these are very popular, especially in saltwater fishing, and a lot of guys use these, and they work. They're good, and you come all sorts of different colors. The thing is, they're very nice and long too, and they can be shaped, but they're not tapered. So this material is the same diameter all the way through. So when you use these artificial materials, you have to get into the idea of how to shape them. And I've got a video on that too, if you want to have a look at it, on how to shape these. But they work perfectly well. I tend not to use very much in the way of artificial materials. I tend to use the natural ones, but that's just a personal choice. I've got a friend who's big on using the artificial ones, and he does a great job with them. His flies look great and catches tons of fish. So, they do work. It's just personal preference. In my case, I tend to orient towards the natural materials. But there you go. There's Hairwings in a nutshell. And just make sure that you're picking the right material for the job. If you need a long wing, you're looking at Icelandic sheep, bucktail. If you're into shorter wings, smaller flies, then you've tons of different choices. And if you go into the artificials, you've got upwards of a foot to work with. So you can tie an awfully big fly with artificials, or with yak hair for that matter. So there we go. Hairs for Hairwings. Cheers.